Hi, everyone. Like Anne just mentioned, my name's Carissa Fowler. I am one of the sustainability program coordinators with the city of Tempe. We have our transportation sustainability department, so we're in the sustainability division. And a lot of my work has been focused on the energy side, so exploring resilient energy hubs, what microgrids can look like, managing our solar sites, but then also this heat communication, heat engagement component as well. So super excited to share with you guys our approach in the city for adopting a new heat safety ordinance. Okay. All right. So not that I have to give anyone here an overview, but to give an overview of why this is important, we look to Maricopa County's heat-related death reports and National Weather Service trends. And of course, no surprise, as I'm sure we all feel it, it's just getting hotter and hotter with days over 110, over 120 degrees increasing each year. So in 2024, we saw a huge spike, not as much as 2023, with 77% of those deaths happening outdoors. So as you can see on the graph, which I'm sure you've seen, heat-related deaths have increased dramatically in the last decade, really highlighting the importance for safety measures in place for those working outdoors in the summertime. So let's take a second to kind of currently review what's in place for heat safety, which I'm sure Art will talk about more. But at the state level, the state of Arizona established the state emphasis program that encourages employers to have plans in place to reduce heat-related deaths. But there's no official standard or regulation in place to kind of mitigate heat-related illnesses in the workplace in Arizona. So moving to federal regulation, OSHA has published an advance notice of proposed rulemaking to address heat safety, but on January 20th, the new administration has directed agencies to refrain from proposing any new rules. So thus, these guidelines at the federal level remain uncertain. So with both of these things considered, there is room for cities to get involved in ensuring that we have occupational heat safety in the workplace. So with the lack of federal policy, cities and counties across the state are taking matters into their own hands, with 3 ordinances being passed in 2024 for outdoor worker heat safety. So first Phoenix, who really took the lead on this in March, and then Tucson, and then Pima County. And now here we are in 2025, where the city Tempe has adopted one as well. But during 2024, when Phoenix, Tucson, and Pima County, when they were developing their ordinances, we at the city of Tempe began our exploration of what an outdoor worker heat safety policy can look like for us. So in May of 2024, my office, the Sustainability and Resilience Division, hosted an outdoor worker appreciation event for City of Tempe outdoor workers. So this event was very, very cool, if I pat myself on the back, was held at 4 different locations across the city, and was intended to, of course, show appreciation for our outdoor workers, but also to gather feedback on current heat safety practices. So we wanted to really make sure that the city of Tempe has our ducks in a row before asking contractors to have their ducks in a row. So we got 147 really great survey responses, with the survey asking about AC in vehicles, available PPE, access to water, and if the heat training they receive felt adequate to prepare them. Oh, I really went far, didn't I? Okay, sorry. Going back. So overall, there was really positive feedback, with a few mention of opportunities for extended breaks, providing shading if not already available, and focusing training on what PPE is available for them, as opposed to just focusing on heat illnesses. So since the event, the city has taken this work further. We established a subcommittee and developed a new outdoor worker heat safety policy. So this is kind of the process that we went to starting in 2025 on thinking through establishing this policy. So in January, Councilmember Keating at the City of Tempe opened a council subcommittee on heat safety for Tempe and contract workers. In February, Councilmember Keating's office conducted research with how other cities, so Phoenix, Pima County, Tucson, how they crafted their ordinances. In March, we held a subcommittee to kind of direct staff on drafting our own ordinance. And then we received some support from my office and then got some public engagement and did the usual public comment process in May with final adoption and council vote on June 5th. That should say 2025. So that's this year, not 2024. So under the ordinance, contractors contracted by the city of Tempe must create and follow a heat safety plan to protect their outside employees. So the ordinance has about 10 requirements for these plans, which I'll go into in a little bit. The city of Tempe can request this plan at any time, and these plans must be posted where it is accessible to employees. So some of the requirements for contractors to include in their heat safety plan include free and clean and accessible drinking water during rest and meal breaks, the ability to take regular breaks when the National Weather Service has issued a heat advisory. The National Weather Service was decided on since it takes humidity into account. And we also have some suggestions where we do have longer break periods for workers in more of those heat intensified areas, such as asphalt. Additional requirements in the heat safety plans include access to shade, especially when it's over 90 degrees, but making sure that people can sit comfortably in the shade. We're not so shoulder to shoulder. We have some air, so more shade, the better, obviously. Vehicles with enclosed cabins must have air conditioning. This should be a given. And heat safety plans need to include acclimation practices for their new workers. ADOSH recommends 20% increase every single day. Additionally, heat safety plans need to include monitoring practices, communication protocols between supervisors and employees during these heat-related emergencies, and then a big one, heat safety training. So no later than 1 week prior to working in an outdoor environment, and at least one training annually, and of course, those acclimation practices in addition to that for new employees. So in an effort to ensure workers know their rights, contractors will also need to notify their workers by 2 methods. One is the posting of signage on the job site, both in English and Spanish, and whatever other languages they need, and including recognizing symptoms and reporting to medical personnel of different heat illnesses, and then also their ability to anonymously report violations to OSHA, ADOSH, and the Tempe Risk Management Division. Additionally, once the heat safety plan is in place, written notification to all employees regarding their new protections is required, should be shown in the onboarding process. And then they also have to make sure, so if we contract with someone, their subcontractors must also follow heat safety plans. So fast forward to today. It's been a couple of months. So what does the ordinance in practice look like? So procurement is in the process of reviewing all City of Tempe contracts and identifying those with heat exposure elements, in which those contracts and people that we have those contracts with will be addressed and contacted of this new ordinance. As of September 1st, heat safety language is in all professional service and construction engineering contracts and is in new engineering contract solicitation documents with a required heat safety plan submittal review. We recently just had our first solicitation advertisement go out with a requirement, so looking forward to following up with our engineer team to see what review for compliance looks like for that going forward. Additionally, the City of Tempe, so not only do contractors that we contract with have to comply with the ordinance, City of Tempe departments, again, making sure we have our ducks in a row, are also required to have heat safety plans if we have outdoor workers. So there's been a template that's been developed for those departments to fill out, make sure they comply, and then implement as well, which is being managed by our risk management team. That's actually all that I have. That's my presentation today. So thank you all for listening. It's definitely been a couple years of learning from those that are doing it best and really leading in this space. So huge thanks to Tucson, Phoenix, Pima County for really pushing the ball on this, and happy to get some policy in place because it's very much needed. So thank you all for coming today. I appreciate it. And I can take any questions and answer what I can.
All right, so I see Amelia has her hand up.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Amelia. Nice to
Hi,
see
Carissa.
you.
Nice to see you too. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for that great presentation. And since this is a research call and this is like, it seems like a great opportunity. I just wanted to ask if you guys have any research planned, and also City of Phoenix and any of the other cities that have implemented these. Do we have an opportunity to do a before and after? And what are you guys all doing on that? Thanks.
Good question. I don't think there are any solid plans for researching it before and after right now. Obviously, we would love to see in a year, how those conversations have been going with contractors. Are they kind of being like, we don't want to do that, or are they saying, yes, we already have these in place? So that would be really interesting to see. Now that we finally have language in those contract solicitations, I think we can really start to track those. So I think that's a really great idea.
Any idea what the costs are to be in compliance? I'm sure that some business people probably feel like they're going to lose money in terms of worker productivity or anything like that.
I have something on that, actually. It was a report done by the Nature Conservancy, I believe, which I can find and follow up with Anna after this, but it put a dollar amount on loss of productivity if it's more focused towards climate change, if with climate inaction, what that loss of productivity will be. But I think that resource is the closest thing that I've gotten to really putting a dollar amount on that.
And then have there been any sense of like how many citations companies have gotten for not being in compliance? And you probably don't have it here, but maybe we know from Phoenix or Tucson or other places.
I do not know yet.
Yeah,
More info
I
coming
can
there.
chime in. This is Dave from Phoenix. Um, and as of our last get together as a group, I don't think we have had, so we've been in place for a little more than a year now. I don't think we have had a traditional formal complaint move through the process, but some of you may have seen some of the media coverage with the engagement at the airport that has been related to this ordinance. And in particular, one of the food vendors at the airport that subcontracts with the airlines who are contractors of the city to go through the same flow that Carissa was referencing before. So there has been, I would say, one pretty big package of work and activity that has been catalyzed off of the ordinance, but it didn't flow through the process originally as we had dreamed up a quote traditional complaint might.
Thanks, Dave. There appears to be a comment in the chat from Ryan Martin. Were there considerations in having on-site personnel ready to respond to a heat injury and perhaps provide heat awareness education during daily safety briefings? But I'm also wondering what the injury burden is for outdoor workers. I love this effort and great leadership. So kudos to you, Carissa.
Were there considerations in having on-site personnel ready to respond to a heat injury? Yes. So supervisors should be made aware of how to recognize and respond to heat illnesses. And there was a component that we thought of at one point of what does like a buddy system look like. I don't think it officially made it into the ordinance, but was something that we started thinking of. But yes, everyone should be trained on knowing the signs and the symptoms and how to respond to heat illnesses. So I feel like it might be a little bit of trusting your supervisor, but also the people around you. That might not be able to be totally written into policy. That's just my immediate response to that. We do have something that we're exploring with our risk management team where we have monitors. They're like little circles. That's as good of an answer that I have right now, where it can actually go on someone. And when they got to the work site, it sends a notification to someone's phone, like a supervisor, saying, hey, the temperature is over 110 degrees. And so we are thinking that that can be a way to kind of push this step a little further and pilot it with City of Tempe employees is then the supervisor saying, hey, it's really hot, maybe take an extended break right here, or maybe take another break. So there's some piloting of what that mechanism looks like, which I think is pretty cool.
That's fantastic.
The other thing is, I mean, I don't know if this is in the education, but people can kind of self-monitor in terms of like urination. I mean, we've seen this particularly with the people who are fighting fires, particularly in rural parts of the state where, as they become dehydrated from the heat, their amount of urination goes down often, before they have any other symptoms. So, and it's something that, we could just put into the education perhaps.
Totally. One of my favorite, I mean, it's gross, but one of my favorite education for dehydration and knowing like it's the color of your pee. And if it's
Right.
darker, you should probably get some help or drink as much water.
Drink
Those
more
to
water.
me,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
like even on the back or on the porta potties or on the bathrooms on site, like even just having that imaging is very impactful for me because I can be super dehydrated sometimes. So I think back to that.
Right. I'm curious, what did you see as significant takeaways from Phoenix and Pima County's ordinances that maybe you weren't able to act on?
So we were able to act on all of them from my understanding, because we did kind of an analysis of what are the differences. We have a little bit more than the other ones that we implemented. For example, we learned from Pima County, there's like whistleblower and anti-retaliation protections. We kind of expanded the definition of outdoor work, employee monitor processes. Let's see. We have a distance requirement for water and shade access. Acclimatization recommendations, annual heat training required, and applies to city workers. So there were some components that I think we added a bit more to, but from what I understand and from the policy making process, we were able to check all the boxes.
Great.
Yeah. So they all did a really good job. It was nice to have them to go off of to look and inform our
bet.
next steps.
I bet. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, thank you. I think what we'll do is see if we have time at the end for additional questions, because I do have a couple of extra ones for you. But thank you so much for your presentation. That's really interesting. And thanks to Tempe and of course, Phoenix and Pima County for paving the way. I think communities can certainly learn a lot from all the great work that you have been doing in this space. So looking to see how things progress from here. So thank you, Carissa.
Thank you, Anne.